My name is Connor, and welcome back to the Calling for Orpheus Knitting Podcast. And this is almost every single thing that I made in 2025. So I am going to do this differently, I think, than my last year's. I don't remember my last year's that well. I didn't rewatch it, but I am planning on doing this a little bit differently. I'm going to be going through everything that I did. I'm gonna try all of it on. I think I'm gonna put it all on, and I am not. I think going to include stuff like all of the yarns that I used, all of the bases, all of the colorways, that sort of information, all the modifications that I made. That stuff I'm probably not going to include unless it feels particularly important because I feel like it's going to bloat out the runtime of this video, and that's all information that I would have included in my like 2 or 3 podcasts that I did this year, and I'm pretty sure every single thing in this video except for like 1 or 2 things was talked about in one of those podcasts. So if you really, really want that information, you can find it there. I'm going to give the generic disclaimer that this video is not for the purpose of saying, oh my god, look at how much stuff I made. I made a lot of stuff this year. I made way more than I thought I did, but it's more about taking a look at all of the things and appreciating them individually and giving them their time in the spotlight and telling you what exactly I like about them, what I don't like about them, reviewing, what my wins were, what my losses were, to formulate my plan for 2026, pretty much. I did make a lot of stuff, but if you made less stuff, that's fine. And if you made more stuff, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's kind of a silly disclaimer, but I do feel the need to make it because people do get upset about stuff that they probably don't need to. Speaking of me having made a lot of stuff, I made in total, 16. I made 16 things this year, and I'm only going to be showing 14 of them. Yeah, 14 minus 16 minus 2 is 14. Yeah, I'm going to be showing 14 of them because 2 of them were given away. One of them was made as a gift for my friend, that I can put that up here. I do think I have a picture of that. It's a pair of socks. And then I also crocheted a blanket for charity. I don't know if I took a picture of that. If I did, I'll put it up, but I think I didn't. So other than that, everything I have here, and it's mostly sweaters. I think I did 1 t-shirt, 3 pairs of socks, and 1 home goods item, and the rest are all sweaters. So we are going to get started right away with winter 2025. Put the first sweater on, but 2 other things that I want to say is that I got a microphone. I got an actual proper microphone. So hopefully you can hear me at a decent volume because I speak really softly when I record these videos. And it's also a really windy day, and I have my window open for the sake of not overheating in these sweaters. And hopefully you can't hear the aggressive wind or the aggressive wind chimes. And the next thing that I actually almost forgot what I was going to say, but I didn't, is I'm going to have data to crunch at the end of this video. So you're going to see some graphs. With all of that out of the way, this is the first thing that I finished in 2025, and it is Taranika. I'm trying to figure out how to hold this. It is Taranika by Kirsten Michelle Kukulski. This is a fingering weight pattern. It's made from the top down. You cast on at the neckline. I did modify the neckline. I'm not going to discuss that stuff in detail, but I did modify the neckline. In the original, it's pretty wide, so if you were to cast it on exactly as the pattern says, it's not going to look quite like this. But I'm really happy with the modifications that I made. I think it fits me really well. I think it's really flattering. The color work, I think, turned out absolutely beautifully. And yeah, I don't have much to say. I wear this all the time. It's one of my favorite makes of the entire year, and it was the first thing I made. I will say the yarn. I'm not talking about these ones because this is mostly like random mini skeins and stuff, but the main color this here is the base Cherish from a small dyer that I think is local to me, maybe, called Passion Yarns, and they're so good. They're so good, and they're so cheap. It is ridiculous. I think I paid like $20 a skein for this yarn, and this is a merino cashmere nylon blend that has been hand dyed. So, the only thing that I will say about them is that their dye lots can be really inconsistent. So if you get a chance to shop them in person, they do shows and stuff, I would do that. But yeah, I absolutely love this. This is like a 15 out of 10. Genuinely, I think my favorite thing that I made all year. And I'm making another one right now, just in different colors. How fun is this one? This is the next thing that I finished. And I actually finished this apparently. I didn't realize, but apparently I finished this only a couple of days after, only about a week actually, after I finished Taranika. But this is the Stitches sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, also known as Kutvakika. And I went kind of crazy with the color palette that I chose. Um, I knit this out of, it doesn't really matter, but I knit this out of, I think, Knit Pick Swish Worsted, and I paired it with a yarn called Rico Make It Tweed. And yeah, you should be able to see just fine that it's tweed, but there's actually like a thread going through there that has the tweed neps on it. And that's the Rico Make It Tweed. It's just a nylon thread with little neps in it. It's a fun yarn. It's kind of itchy, to be honest with you. So I do think that it spoils the softness of the sweater a little bit, but I do like this piece. I don't wear it that much. You can probably tell why, because it's neon lime green, and I just don't have that many places to wear a neon lime green sweater. And while I like it and it makes me smile, I don't know that it's like the best color or colors for me. Like I look like a pimento olive a little bit, but that's okay. Um, I made this. I remember when I made this, I was really sad because it was just a really gloomy, dreary January last year, and I was just feeling so blah about the whole thing. And I remember very distinctly that every time I picked this up and I got to see these crazy bright colors, it really did make me feel a lot better. Um, but I don't wear it that much because, again, the colors are absurd. And it's also very warm. It is really, really warm. It is a worsted Aran weight superwash merino sweater with color work, and this like high collar. And it's also a double folded collar, which I don't do much. But I wear it when it's really, really cold, like really, really cold. And it's fine. This is like a 7 out of 10. It's fine. If I like fell victim to a natural disaster and I could only grab, 5 of my sweaters, this would not be in the top 5, but I like it. I'm not like itching to get rid of it. This is the last sweater of winter, if you can believe it, but I only make about one a month, so it makes sense. And it is the Weekender Crew by Andre Mowry. I knit it using Barocco Remix Light, which I'm mentioning because I love Remix Light. But I'm really mixed about this sweater. I'm really, really mixed about it because it's comfortable. I like it. I like the color. I really like the fit of it. See, I'm backed up like right against my bed. I don't have that much free space, but the sweater ends literally right at the top of my jeans, which is not a fit that I like. Like I feel like I'm very exposed, and I don't like the sleeve construction, to be honest with you. I think it looks kind of cool. Like having the yoke go all the way down like that. But what it does is it means that my sleeves, and also Andrea Mowry, oh my God, she grades her sweaters to have the tightest sleeves on the planet. So if you're a dude, if you have wide arms, if you lift weights, any of the above, modify them. Oh my God, modify the sleeves. This is so tight. It doesn't look that tight. This is so tight. And because of that, any movement of my arms carries the entire sweater right with it. It completely changes the way the sweater sits. The front of the sweater rides up like crazy, I think because of the way that my arms sit. I think it just causes it to pull. And the other thing is, this is probably my fault, what she has you do is when you cast on these stitches, she has you cast on the front, cast on the back, and then seam them. What I did is I cast on either on the front or the back, and then for the other side, I just picked up along that stitch line, which I think made the problem worse of all of the tugging and stuff. And I don't know. It looks great. I think it looks great. I think this is actually a very flattering sweater. I love the really, really boxy body. And I do actually like the slim sleeves combined with the boxy body. I just wish they were particularly like right here in the bicep underarm region. I just wish it was like 1 or 2 inches lower. That's it. Which is, not her fault. It's just the way that she grades. Or not the way that she grades, but it's just the shape that she goes for her sweaters. But I wish that I had done more to increase that width there. And the tugging, I can't. And it's a split hem. I can't show you that well. My tripod is as far back as it will go, and I'm standing as far back as I can stand. So I really can't show you any more than this. And my tripod is as high as it will go. But it is a split hem, as you can hopefully see. And that combined with the pretty short length of the sweater means that it's just free to move around and expose as much skin as it wants to. And when I'm wearing a sweater, I don't really want midriff exposed. I'm probably going to get cold. I'm wearing the sweater to avoid getting cold. But yeah, I don't know. It's also bottom up. So I can't easily modify that. But yeah, I like it, and I wear it at home. I do actually wear it at home because at home it doesn't really matter. But I almost never wear this out again because of the midriff exposure issue for me, which makes me sad because I really like how this looks on me. Like I'm looking at it in the camera, and I just love this. I love this fit on my body, but it's not that practical for me, unfortunately. Before I get comments about it, I'm holding the microphone despite all of the movement because if I clip it, the audio is muffled. Whatever. Anyway, now we're into spring. And spring was a time for me of a lot of duds. I made a couple pairs of socks and all of them turned out well, but I only made two garments in spring and they both turned out pretty bad. And I think a big part of the reason for this was because during the spring, I was starting to develop some pretty severe tendonitis, which would evolve into chronic muscular hand pain, which is not an awesome thing to have as a knitter. And it's mostly under control now. Like I've learned to take breaks and to ice things, and I've discovered Tiger Balm. Um, Obviously, taking breaks is the most important of those things, but I have it mostly under control. But at this time, I remember being really unhappy with a lot of what I was making because I couldn't do much without it hurting. And this hobby that I love so much, that's provided so much richness and value and joy into my life, now was bringing me really intense pain all the time. And I think that that really infected my work at this point in time. And I've mostly got duds. A bit of a snafu. And I've already recorded all of the like spring stuff. And I realized when I was watching the clips back, wait a minute, I wasn't holding my microphone. So you couldn't hear me like at all. And I had to crank up the audio a ton. And I'm just pinning it to my hands, or oh my God, pinning it to my shirt because I'm going to do my hands. I'm gonna run really, really quickly now through the things that I was going to go over in the spring because I don't feel like spending 35 minutes talking about socks. So, the start of the spring was pretty good with just socks. I made these two different samples of some Pride themed socks that I was working on a pattern for. This one I specifically bought the yarn for. These are all Uni Merino minis, universal yarns, and this is it's like a Malabrio copycat kind of yarn. It's a commercially dyed yarn that's made to look hand dyed. It's just merino and nylon. And then these were from Stash. All of these except the main color, which is this is the same main color from Terranica. All of these are from Craftly dyed yarn, and they are one of my absolute favorite dyers, specifically for tonals, because they do a lot of really bright, rich colors like this. And so I've done the rainbow flag and the trans flag motifs. I didn't end up releasing the pattern when I wanted to because there was just too much going on in my life, but I still have the pattern and I think it's pretty much done. It might need to be edited again, but it's pretty much done. Is it the light? Yeah, the light's on. I think it's pretty much done, and I can maybe, hopefully, potentially release it because I still have it, but I don't necessarily have plans to yet. But yeah, it's just a really basic, easy colorwork motif. And then the other pair of socks that I made in the springtime, and this is actually the last pair that I made over the year because I started getting some hand pain. I think I kept that clip in. I think that I had my microphone for that clip. But yeah, I was having some hand pain. So I didn't end up making that many socks this year. But this was the last pair that I made. And this is the Time Traveler Socks pattern by Liz Sedmak. And this is a sock set from Gaddy Yarn Co. And this is one of her, this was leftovers from one of her Supernatural, sock clubs. And unfortunately, I got this as part of Gaddy's going away sale, and she's no longer dying, but I loved her yarn so much. Yeah, there it is. It's just, I actually really love these socks. You can see maybe you can see the toes are like super faded. So I wear these a lot. I love the fit. It's a Flegel heel sock and it's from the toe up. And I think the Flegel heel is so far the only heel construction I found that actually fits the shape of my heel, which is very narrow and it's sort of like shaped like that. And this fits it really, really well. So yeah, that's it. Those are the socks. And then I made two garments in the spring, or spring into summer, and they're both like not my favorite. And I'm not even gonna waste the time putting them on because I don't like them. And I'm gonna get comments like, "Oh, but it's fine." No, I don't like it. I don't like it. You'll never hear it to me otherwise. This is a Friday tee that I started in 2024 and finished in 2025, and the neckline is extremely wide. The sleeves are too small. I also think they're actually a little bit longer than I'd like them to be, and they're like too tight. Um, and I also feel like the ribbing that I did for the neckline is like too tall, and there's this weird, I don't know, the proportions look weird when it's on me. The yarn I think is itchy, and I couldn't tell the front from the back, so I sewed a tag on the inside, which makes it unwearably itchy for me personally. Um, and like technically it's fine. You can see I haven't even woven the ends in because I just don't like this at all. Um, but it's technically fine. And I might end up giving it away to my friend Laura, who wears the same size that I do and is also a knitter. I've already given her like 3 or 4 different sweaters that like were good sweaters. They're perfectly fine sweaters. I just didn't like them. So I might ask if she wants this one. And then the other thing that I like a lot more, but is very flawed, is this self-drafted raglan that I knit out of Barocco Remix Light. And you can probably tell the issue that I have with it is mainly the really, really wide neckline. And I started it from the neckline down, so there's not that much I can do to fix it. And in the podcast where I talked about this sweater, I got a comment saying, oh, just thread elastic through it. But this is a single fold neckline, meaning I'm going to have to thread that elastic through the inside like this, and it's going to be right on my skin. And I know I'm not going to like that at all. And I also think I like the color. It's a color that I like looking at, but I don't think that it's actually a great color for me. And when I put it on, I feel like I'm wearing like a hospital issued garment, which is really sad because this was also a gift. And I love the base yarn, and I love the color. I love looking at the color. I love it visually. Um, but honestly, I might need to like over dye it or something. Um, and otherwise, I'm probably going to need to just make an accessory out of this. But that was spring, and luckily, summer and early fall are much, much, much better. And actually, the rest of the year, I don't think I had a single other dud the rest of the year. Okay. The final non-sweater item that I have is the next finished object up on the list, and it brings us into summer into like early fall. So that first thing is also the only crochet project that I actually have to show you today, and it is this little cup cozy. And I made it for a specific cup that, and also this, I can't stand this yarn. This yarn looks so yellow. It's not yellow in person. It's green in person. It's not yellow. But my camera makes it look so yellow. Anyway, it's just a little cup cozy. I made it. I have these specific cups that have like a skinny bottom and then it gets wider at the top. And they are a clear plastic that sweat a lot. And I really like them and I use them for kind of everything. But they sweat because of the clear plastic. And so I made this little cozy that fits exactly around the skinny part of the bottom. And that's it. And it's made of non-superwash wool, so it absorbs all of the moisture without getting soggy, and I really like it. And it's just it's sport weight yarn. I crocheted it using yarn under single crochets and a 2.75 millimeter hook, so it's pretty small. I'm going to go through my remaining projects for the year pretty quickly because now all of these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and all of them I would have spoken to you about in my very last podcast, so they're not new to you. Or, I mean, maybe they are if you didn't see that, but anyway, I don't want to repeat myself too much because that might get annoying for people. But this, anyway, is my Friday sweater, my sport weight Friday sweater, because when I'd finished the Friday tee, I was like, wow, this sucks. And I know that I love this motif, and I know that I can make something using this pattern that I adore. So let me try again. And I made this sweater, and I really love it. When I first finished it, I didn't love it because the yarn felt really prickly, and I maintain this yarn is not soft. This is not a soft yarn. It's Knit Picks Gauzy, um, and it's non-superwash merino blended with Cupro, which is like a highly processed cotton. And I expect it to be really soft, mostly because of the cotton content. It is not. It is. I'm wearing it right now. It definitely feels like there's a tooth. There's a tooth. There's a little bit of an itch, but it's tolerable. When I first finished it and it was like fresh off the blocking mat, it was unwearable. But I feel like maybe it softened over just existing for a little longer, maybe. I don't know. And or maybe I've just gotten more tolerant. But I really love this sweater. Sorry for breathing right into the microphone. I really love this sweater. I love the stripes. I think it's really fun. I definitely am willing to entertain the possibility of knitting another one or knitting a replacement that's soft because I want it to be soft and I also want it to be easy care. And this is hand wash only, which for a sweater that is a cotton blend that is relatively fitted, I don't want it to be hand wash only. So I am considering remaking this out of something that feels a little bit more practical or enjoyable to wear. But for now, I love it. I actually think that it's like my number two, maybe. It's up there. It's easily in the top five, of my favorite makes of the year. And it just feels very me. The whole palette and the style of it, it just feels very me. I hope that you can't hear my dog barking. You probably can't, what with the microphone, but he's barking. I think my neighbor's walking past. But this is easily the most exciting, most fun process-wise make of 2025, and this is the Tulip Pullover by Lindsay Deegan. Once again, I knit this out of a Remixed Light. It is one of my absolute favorite yarns. I feel like I talked about it in good enough detail in my podcast episode, but the TLDR of that is this is designed to be knit a certain way, and I completely hacked up the pattern and did it basically the opposite way at every turn. The only thing that I kept is that it's a drop shoulder and that it's seamed. That's about it. Like at every other step of the way, I changed things. Like I knit it from the top down, except for the ribbing, which I knit from the bottom up and grafted on. I did the colorwork motif in stranded colorwork as opposed to intarsia because I don't like intarsia. The sleeves, instead of knitting them flat from the top down, I knit them in the round from the bottom up and seamed them in place. And I didn't do color work everywhere. I only did it on the front. I think those are the modifications that I made. But yeah, I love this. It's super comfortable. I love it's got a very, I think, distinctly like Scandinavian vibe, which sounds so cringe for me to say, but I think that it does. And I like that it's a little bit abstract and it's not like aggressively like girly floral. And every time I wear this, somebody asks, "What is on your sweater?" And I like that because that means it's more abstract than like flowers. It's sort of just a funky doodle, and I like that. I also love the color. I think this is a really spectacular color on me, this ultramarine blue. And it's soft and comfortable, and it was my first time, I think, seaming. There's not a hole in this, is there? No, there isn't. It was, I think, my first time seaming a knit sweater. So yeah. Oh, this also was my first. I forgot to say this in my podcast, I think, and I needed to. But this was my first experience. Maybe I did say this, but I didn't say the other project because I did make another project that I use this technique in. I know that I didn't mention that, but for this, like I said, I knit the sleeves in the round, starting from the cuff, increased them upwards, and then bound off, and then seamed it into the armhole, which is so much nicer. It is such a nicer way to knit sleeves for something like this. I do not like having to carry the whole sweater with me. Being able to do that, it was so much more pleasurable, and I think that the seam looks really nice. I think that the actually having seamed it in place looks a lot cleaner than it would have doing the pickup. But yeah, that's that. I wear this all the time. I love it. The only thing that I would maybe change is I do wish that like the body to sleeve ratio is a little different. I think that the sleeves are actually a little wider than I'd like them to be, and the body I think could stand to be even wider and even more oversized. But other than that, I love it. And unlike the Weekender Crew, this is an appropriate length, and the rimming at the bottom is closed, so I don't get any midriff exposure at all. So I once again will have to re-record this clip because I put my microphone down and didn't realize. But this is the third to last piece in the lineup, and this is Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry. I might actually try to clip you for a second. Hold on. Okay, let's hope that doesn't like damage the sweater. But I wanna talk with my hands and stuff, and the microphone is like it gets in the way. But here it is, Pink Velvet. I modified mine to be a DK weight, and even then, it's a little heavy for a DK weight. I used a standard fingering weight yarn, held or a sock yarn, a fingering weight yarn, that I held together with Knitting for Olive compatible cashmere, which is labeled a lace, but it is a little thick for a lace weight. So it does give me it gives me fabric that I think is a little thicker than a DK, and it's a little dense, it's a little heavy, but it's not too warm for the climate that I live in because it's just superwash merino and cashmere. But yeah, that's the one major modification that I made. I also did some extra color work at the cuffs that I feel like I didn't mention in my last podcast, maybe. But yeah, I actually don't have a lot to say about it, to be honest with you, because it's just nice. It's just nice. I don't like adore it more than anything else. I don't dislike it whatsoever. It fills a niche in my wardrobe. It's a little thicker than most of my other sweaters. It's a little softer, a little warmer than my other sweaters. That's about it. I'll tell you, I don't wear it that often because I do feel like it has kind of a like fancy vibe to it, and there's very few occasions where I would need to wear a warm, fluffy sweater that also feels fancy. But I've worn it. I think I've worn it a couple of times. I don't know. I like it. I don't have that much to say about it. I just like it. This is the second to last sweater and the only cardigan that I made. I might actually have to like get up on my bed to show you the whole thing. But this is the only cardigan that I made this year. And this is dangerous. This is I should have done this the whole time. Whatever. This is a self-drafted Christmas cardigan that I made and didn't get to wear because Christmas this year was like 65 or 75 degrees. But it's fine. I think it's a cute cardigan. It's the only garment that I have that looks quite like this. It's very, I think, Mr. Rogers core, though it's not nearly as oversized as I want it to be. I made it pretty small because this is merino and alpaca boucle. And the last time I did, and it's non-superwash, and the last one that I made like this was also non-superwash on the base. And that sweater grew like crazy. It's my Nebula, if you remember that one. But this sweater didn't really grow that much in blocking at all, unfortunately. I could have just pinned it, probably, and stretched it out if I wanted to, and I could probably do that now if I wanted to, but it's fine. It fits okay, and I'm planning on wearing it open like this anyway. Okay, that's kind of scary. But yeah, it's just a red cardigan. It's really classic. It's got a very low neckline, which I did on purpose. And yeah, it's soft, it's comfy, it's warm without being excessively hot because it's a pretty open gauge. If you like you can see the white of my t-shirt underneath it. And I love the long sleeves and the chunky rib. They're long enough that I can, the cuff itself is long enough that I can roll it up like this and not, have my sleeve be halfway up my arm. Like they still fit like full length when they're rolled up. But yeah, I like this cardigan. I don't wear it constantly, but it does fill a niche in my wardrobe, and I'm glad that I made it. I like it. I don't have that much to say about it, to be honest with you. We are on to the final knit of 2025. I just finished this. I think I finished this on December 30th or so, like right before New Year's. I love this. I think a big part of the reason why I love this so much is the yarn choice. I don't think I mentioned the pattern. The pattern is Rialta by Andrea Gahn. And it's a textured sweater with this one cable motif that repeats twice on the body, and then just the same on the back. I hope the back of my head doesn't look busted. It probably does. I've never seen it. That's not true. I've seen it before. But yeah, I think the biggest reason why I love this sweater so much is the yarn choice. I knit this out of Wild Earth Yarns Possum, which is a merino and New Zealand possum blend. It is non-superwash, but it's also woolen spun. And I think this is my only woolen spun sweater of the year, and it makes it really it's quite warm, but it's also really lightweight, and it doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't weigh down on the body, but it keeps me really, really warm. And it's honestly, despite being a little bit rustic by traditional definitions, it's actually very soft. And I have really sensitive skin, and I'm wearing this completely next to skin, and I love it. I really, really love it. I don't know if I should get up on the bed again and show you the whole view. Yeah, I love it. I gave it big sleeves. This was a modification that I made to the pattern that I don't think that I needed to make, but I actually like that I made it. I think it maybe looks a little silly with my arms down because of all this fabric creasing, but it's very, very comfortable. I think having a yarn like this that is so warm, having it sit off the skin, I think is helpful. And it also gives me the opportunity to, if I want to, more easily put a t-shirt under this, because I have sensory stuff and I really, really hate wearing shirts under most of my knits, which is a problem because if I get too hot, I'm stuck. But anyway, there it is, right outside. This is another easily top 5, maybe top 3. It's Taranika, my favorite third Taranika, the tulip pullover, the Friday sweater, and this one, I think. Yeah, I think those are my absolute favorites, and I could play with that list a little bit, but yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Go make this pattern. Go make this pattern. It's beautiful. It knits up really quickly too, and the motif here is actually pretty easy to memorize, and it's very well written. Ignore my laundry basket and the box of tissues on the floor, but there it is. The aftermath. It is the next day, and I'm wearing a new sweater, but this is a 2026 mix. We're not talking about this today. But I do have some of my actual data that I thought you may or may not be interested in hearing, and I will put up on the screen like the PNG image of these graphs so you can actually see it. But the first thing that I calculated, whatever, I put everything in a spreadsheet and I just made graphs out of it. But the first thing that I got my data for was what techniques that I used in these projects, and things are organized a little bit weirdly, mostly because of how I put the data into the spreadsheet. But what I care to tell you is that 50%, a whopping 50% of every single thing that I made this past year was color work. And I almost would expect it to be more than that. But even still, 50% does seem like a lot. And other than color work, about a third of the graph is made up of textures, and the rest are cables and stockinette. 50% of everything that I made was color work. I almost feel like we could increase that number. And next thing is the weights that I used. And it is majority fingering, 37.5% of it is, I don't need to show you, you'll see the thing. But I was kind of surprised to see that I made a lot of things in DK. It's about 25% of my total project makeup is DK. Which I guess makes sense if I look back at what I made. I did make a lot of projects this year in DK, more than I expected. But honestly, if anything, I'm surprised that 37%, what is that? That's more than a third of the things that I made were fingering, because I actually feel like I didn't make that much in fingering this year. And one of the things that I want to do more of in 2026 is more fingering weight garments, because my fingering weight sweaters are what I find myself wearing the most at home, and I only have a couple of them. Next up, the fiber makeup. And this is kind of funny because the way that I put it in is I wrote one fiber, comma, and then the next thing if it was multiple things. And Google Sheets, I guess, didn't understand that we should maybe consolidate that stuff, but that's probably my fault. And so there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are that consists mostly of merino. So it's the vast majority. I think it's like 70%. I could probably do the math. I'll put the actual number on screen of, in total, everything that contains merino, what percentage of my making that was. But it was a lot. And there's going to be some entries on the list that look like the same thing multiple times, but there's something at the end of the phrase that is different. But yeah, it's insane. I also used a lot of cotton, and more acrylic than I would expect. I think I used about 23%, it looks like, of my making was either acrylic or contained acrylic, which I find really interesting. And then the colors that I used. This one surprised me maybe the most. It was mostly green and gray, which it surprised me that I used very little blue. It's only 12.5% of the products that I made this year were blue, which is actually the same number of products I made that were pink. And I only did 2, and they were both the things that I gave away. So I find it really interesting. I did not knit enough in blue this year, which is funny to me because my wardrobe, if you look at my closet, it's almost entirely blue when it comes to my store-bought clothing. And then that's it. I'm sorry, I'm clicking so hard. That's it. But I do think that it's interesting to see this data for my 2026 spreadsheet, I am including more factors, like what construction it was. Like, was it bottom up? Was it top down? Was it a circular yoke? Was it a raglan? Was it a drop shoulder? I'm including that data too. Um, and I think that's going to give me a better idea of what I'm really making, because I think it's kind of obvious. Like, I like color work, and I like fingering weight and DK, and I like merino a lot. The color thing does surprise me, and that tells me that I probably need to be making more in blue. I also could probably stand to make more things in neutrals, because I don't have that much in neutrals other than gray, because I don't have very much in brown, beige, or white. And only one project was red, and I love red. So that is going to inform. I do kind of want to make a like 2026 knitting goals or knitting plans video, and I do think that's going to inform what I'm planning to make. Um, because yeah, it's interesting to know what I am and am not really representing in my knitted wardrobe. That's it. This is probably amounted to be a super long video, so if you've watched the whole thing, including the data that I don't think anybody cares about, thank you for sticking around and watching. And thank you to anybody who has been watching for a while. I actually think a lot of you have been. I get even to this day, despite my like giant break that I took multiple times, like twice I think in 2025, and then maybe twice in 2024. I think I took like 2 huge breaks each, and yet I still get people from like day one leaving me comments and stuff, which I think is lovely. Um, so I just want to say thank you for sticking around through another year. And I hope to see you in the next one. And if you're new, um, thank you for paying attention to my makes, even though you don't know me. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And yeah, I hope to see you into this new year. I've already been making stuff, and I'm excited to film my next podcast, which you shouldn't have to wait that long for. Hopefully, because I'm not nearly as busy as I used to be as of early January. But yeah, I never know how to end these things. Um, the TLDR is I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a great 2026, and I hope you make all the things that you want to, and you don't hurt your hands like I did. Anyway, yeah, bye.